life instead of everything you know that you could get. Don't let them guide your life towards regret. I'll fight for what I love with every breath. My past is filled with things I won't forget. I use them all to push me to my best. So treat the worst of times just like a test. If only I could go back in time, I'd tell myself that everything will end up alright. Just push yourself, test yourself, figure out what you like, and find your limits, don't be rigid, always work towards a prime. Surround yourself with open minds, people can change your life. A few friends with intent can help you feel alive. Find a passion, take some action, and with a little time, just be patient, make a statement, try to enjoy your life. They'll try to kick you while you're down. They wanna rise up while you drown. They wanna fill your head with doubt. They're silently scared that you'll figure it out.
All right, what is up, Utes fans? This is Joseph back with the Utah Utes Football Digest. And a quick disclaimer, this video is going to be pretty in-depth, pretty detailed. This one's really only for, the hardcore Utes fans that are still in it, even after a tough loss last night. So if you're not one of those people, you can go ahead and get off the video now. But if you are, please do make sure you guys like the video, comment below, get involved in the conversation. I love having you guys here and love hearing your questions. And most of all, make sure you guys subscribe to the channel. Tat says hello. Hello, Tat. Good to have you here. Boom. Tyler says, hey, I forgot to mention that I'm the guy that made the intro for you last season. Oh, awesome, Tyler. Very cool. Thank you for the intro video. I remember that. I stopped using it because they demonetized my videos if I use that intro, just so you know. I really like the intro. It's just, I think it's like the music and the clips get it demonetized. DJ and Tay says, Vegas Bowl, here we go. Yeah, so I wanted to touch on a couple things, guys. We are not, I thought after last night that we were, done when it comes to the Pac-12 championship. It is not a given, and we don't control our own destiny at this point. But I think a lot of people might not understand just how realistic it is that we go to the Pac-12 championship still. I know that sounds wild. I'm just going to show you guys what it would take. I got it pulled up here. Josh Newman. If you guys don't already follow him, make sure you guys give him a follow. Joshua_Newman on Twitter. He posted this. So this is not unrealistic at all, guys. So if Utah beats Colorado and then Oregon State beats Oregon, don't forget, guys, Oregon did not look great. We looked god-awful on offense for the fourth quarter, and we got really close to beating them. Tyler says, I'll make another one with non-copyrighted music. Okay, that'd be awesome, man. I'd love to use it again. But the Oregon State could absolutely beat Oregon. Just so you guys understand, Oregon State's a very good team that plays really well at home, right? Really well at home. So that's a really good sign. Washington beats Washington State. I absolutely see that being I would imagine 80% chance Washington beats Washington State. That's how I'd feel about that, right? And then UCLA beats Cal. UCLA beats Cal. That you might as well chalk that one up. Stanford beat Cal by I think Stanford actually got beat by Cal, but Stanford was beating Cal, and Stanford's pretty bad to be beating Cal. So I just want to tell you guys, really ask yourselves, is that all not a very strong possibility? I didn't think Oregon looked great. I thought we looked terrible, right? I think that's why they won. So Tat says, it's not even about a bowl game for me. I seriously think something is wrong with Cam. Yeah, I wish Cam the best. A really rough game. I think, Tat, it felt like a mental thing to me. I'm sure the physical aspect of it is there, but he did look pretty decent running the ball. I feel like he's getting back from the injury, still trying to get his feet under him. That's my guess on what's going on there, right? I don't have any inside information, but I would imagine he is fine. And he should be, that was such a bad, don't forget, he had good times in that game. He bounced back in the third quarter and looked good. And then in the fourth quarter, just mentally just could not hang. I don't know what was going on there. Jeff says, I agree with that. Yeah, but guys, I would say don't forget, we got Bryson Barnes and we got Nate Johnson. So even if you feel like Cam's having real problems and he's not the guy right now, those are two very good backup quarterbacks. Just so you guys know, I do not count us out yet, guys. We've seen a lot crazier stuff. Don't forget, at the beginning of last year, everything seemed doomed until Charlie Brewer got pulled and Cam came in. I hope Cam just figures it out against Colorado, but who knows? Colorado's a good opportunity to get a Bryson Barnes or a Nate Johnson some extra playing time. And there's an absolute real shot that we are going to the conference championship. We got a Locked On Ducks troll. I'm going to mute him. We'll see if he comes back. Tat says, yes, the Huskies will beat the Cougs. Yeah, I feel very confident. Jeff says Cam is not ready for the NFL. I agree. I thought last night showed me that. Like, the NFL, you're going to have real times where you got to, question or you got to really be a good decision maker. Like, I'm a Jets fan, and, we're having some ups and downs with Zach Wilson. I'm not saying I'm definitely not giving up on Zach Wilson. I feel like I'm more optimistic that he will figure it out than he won't. But the decision making is so critical in the NFL. And I feel like the past few weeks for Cam have started to make you question his decision making. And that's really not something you want to be questioning. Honestly, like, you see a lot of guys like a Kirk Cousins or a Mac Jones do well without being a guy with a huge arm, right? They're just guys that, they do things well, like decision making. They hit the checkdowns well, and it works out. The arm, Cam has the arm, and he has the playmaking ability, but hopefully we see some better decision making in the coming weeks. Anasazi says, let's talk about Utes and our most likely outcome. I say we beat the Turd Snot out, and I most likely see us going to the Holiday Bowl. Yeah, absolutely, man. I actually saw some bowl predictions that have us going to the Holiday Bowl. That definitely wouldn't be terrible. So we're all on the same page. That's better than 80% of teams out there. If we 90% of teams out there, if we wind up going to the Holiday Bowl. But I would say, honestly, when I look at that breakdown, I think the number one thing we got to ask is, can Oregon State beat Oregon? I think the other ones are almost check marks. Washington State's, very likely to beat the Cougs, but I feel like all this is going to happen, believe it or not. I think we did not look good last night. Our offense looked rough. I think we're going to beat Colorado, but I think Oregon's going to get beat by Oregon State. Like, the fact that we almost beat them with our offense being rough for most of that game. Man, how close was that, though, huh? Oh, God, I don't even like talking about it. We were so close to winning that damn game, dude. It's hard to put too much of the blame on Cam. Like, Cam is the reason we lost the game, but I would also say that was a real tough defense. That defense stepped up for the game, and a lot of the game, we're not in it unless Cam makes the plays that he makes, right? So it's kind of a give and a take. The number one thing I'd say about that game and why it was so close and why we had to rely on Cam, making we're pointing at a few very specific throws and we're getting mad at Cam about it, right? That's a little unfair. I think the number one person, like, Cam should probably take the most blame, but the number one person nobody's really talking about, or, they're briefly mentioning him, is Andy Ludwig. I was not a fan of the play calling at all. I felt like it was bad play calling. It was obvious that we should not be running the ball down their throats. They're a team that struggles against the pass and does well against the run. It made no sense to me why we continued to just force feed it down the middle of that offensive line and down the middle of that defense when it clearly wasn't working, right? Tyler says, preach, Joseph. I agree. Hey, I'm not even trying to be preachy. I'm just saying, like, damn, guys, like, what were we doing last night? And Tavion, it doesn't seem to be getting any of this blame, and I've seen a lot of apologists for Tavion, but damn, bro, Tavion did not look good last night. This was a tough running defense, and I didn't think the game plan should have revolved around, force feeding Tavion. But let's be honest about what happened there, huh? Like, Tavion didn't run with the head of steam. He didn't look good. He looked, I don't know if he was not enjoying getting hit by these guys. Like, they that Oregon defense seems like they brought the wood, right? Like they hit real hard, but it didn't make sense to me that we kept trying to do it, right? Brandon, I'm here. How are you? I'm good, man. Good to have you here. As far as the championship is, say, 30% chance, and I think Cam should come back one more year in order to save his NFL stock. I'd agree with that. Somewhere in the 30 to 40% range. I'd feel like, let's just go out there and do everything we can do, and hopefully it works out. That's kind of how I'm looking at it. Like, it's not the spot you love to be in, but it's kind of the spot we are in. So we just got to live with it. But I would say last night, as the game came to a close, I was feeling like for sure we were out of the conference championship. But as people started bringing up info about our real odds of the conference championship, I do feel a little better. And you know what I'm going to do, guys? If you guys have any interest in doing it, I'm going to go ahead and drop the link in the chat. If anyone would like to come on and share their opinions, if I can do this thing, so can you guys. You just say what you're thinking. So feel free to come on. You don't have to at all, but if anyone does have any interest, I really would love to hear from you guys. It's one of my favorite things. It's why I do these live streams, and whether that's in the comments or whether that's in the chat there. So would love to have you guys on. Let's keep going through these comments here. Tyler says Ludwig's play calling was also questionable. I don't understand why he didn't take more deep shots down the field. Oregon has terrible pass defense. I was with you 100%, Tyler. I did not understand the game plan. I mean, I think I knew where it was coming from, right? Because the obvious game plan was throw the ball and run occasionally. But my guess is how he looked at it was, okay, well, that's the obvious game plan. I'm going to roll the dice on the fact that we beat the crap out of these guys last year, and I'm going to go ahead and shy away from the run game, or away from the pass game, and I'm going to try to hardcore run it down their throats. If I can establish the run, then we win this game easily, right? And honestly, if I'm being frank with you guys, I don't think that's a terrible game plan, right? Like, I don't think that's the worst game plan I've ever heard in my life. I just think, in general, we could have done a lot better there. It just felt like we could have done a lot better. Let's see. We got Chad here. Chad, how are you doing today, man?
Not too bad, bud. How are you?
I'm doing well, man. What you got a question or something?
No, it's just one of the things that I wanted to kind of bring up is people are pointing fingers at Cam about, oh, he let all three of those interceptions happen. And what people aren't taking into consideration, now this is just me because I observed pretty deeply of the game, is that you can't necessarily prevent defensive players blocking those passes. Yeah. That's just what their job is. And Oregon did a great job about blocking Cam's passes. So at least two of those interceptions are just on Oregon's defense playing well. Now, yes, Cam wasn't playing well, and he wasn't in the right mind. In my opinion, personally, he also probably had that concussion issue when he got hit for the slide, which I'm very, very upset about that the refs did not.
Yeah, what was that, man?
How is the slide and also
you're
no
not
targeting.
supposed to allow them to hit the guy.
Targeting,
you're not allowed to hit the guy when he's going
that was a rule.
You
could not hit a player in slide, especially a QB.
Yeah, it was really odd. I didn't understand that at all, and it obviously wasn't targeting just by the rule of it, right? But it felt clear that you were hitting a defenseless player in the quarterback. Like, I'd say that no call was probably way more egregious than 90% of the bad targeting calls we've seen this year. It was a really odd thing not to call that. I agree 100%, but I definitely don't think that lost the game. I would agree with you. I think that's one thing people are acting like he threw 3 picks. By the stats, he threw 3 picks, but truthfully, he threw 1 real pick, and the other 2 were more on the offensive line than they were on Cam.
Right.
Anything else you want to talk about, Chad?
And if I read this mainly on Deseret, and I have a hard time following their articles and stuff because of its links and biases to its journalism. But they're. What do you think about the whole scenario about the possibility of actually getting to the championship? And if I'm correct, isn't the scenario bowl all three UW has to lose, Oregon has to lose to Oregon State, and UCLA has to lose to Cal, and Utah has to win in order to get in?
No, it's actually way more realistic. If you look on the screen there, you can see the full breakdown. So it's got, as long as we beat Colorado, Washington beats Wazoo, UCLA beats Cal, and Oregon State beats Oregon. And honestly, to me, the ones that feel pretty solid, like you're very likely to happen, Washington beats Wazoo. I also think that UCLA's that's the most likely, is that UCLA beats Cal and that we beat Colorado. And I really think Oregon didn't look great. We looked bad, but Oregon didn't look great, especially in that second half, dude. They really struggled to move the ball. And I would not be shocked if Oregon State were to beat Oregon. Someone said it in the chat earlier, I think we have about a 30 to 40% chance at actually getting to the conference championships. So we don't control our destiny, but we have a chance.
Okay. And I can agree with that. That would be a fun outcome, just because it would put up a lot of the naysayers and the fair weather fans, putting them quiet. And the Pac-12 would probably get a nice little ha-ha laugh, like the outcome came out for us, and then Utah can get some fire and go and beat USC again.
How nice would that be? And just to smack them in the mouth again and not have them be able to talk about penalties. I've never seen a team complain and whine and not give credit for a win the way USC did when we beat them. I've never seen anything like it. Chad, I'm going to drop you off though, man. Hey, thank you so much for hopping on, and I appreciate your time, man.
You're welcome.
Awesome. Thanks so much to Chad for coming on. If anyone else does want to come on, I will post the link in the chat. Again, more than happy to have you guys on here. If you haven't already, please do make sure you guys like the video. Helps get it out to more Utes fans. Also, join in the chat, guys. Join in the chat. Use the link I posted in there, and come on live and come chat. I'd love to have you guys on. And if you haven't already, make sure you guys subscribe to the channel. I love interacting with this community. It's one of my favorite things to do. All right, guys. And with that, I do want to talk about a little bit of, so someone mentioned it earlier that the most likely scenarios that we go to the Holiday Bowl. So I'd say I'm kind of in the same boat, right? We have a good bowl. The Holiday Bowl is not, a trash bowl. That's a solid bowl. It's not a New Year's Six type of bowl, but it's a solid bowl. And the projection is actually that we'd be going to take on North Carolina, which is Drake May, a real good team, an opportunity for us to kind of represent Utah coast to coast, right? I mean, obviously the Rose Bowl is the preference of those two, but Grow My Presence says, I don't think Ludwig had bad play calling. I think Cam wasn't himself. And just so you know, Grow My Presence, it's not that Ludwig was calling bad pass plays for Cam. It was the scheme and the mindset and the game plan he came in with, man. Honestly, he tried to just ram the ball down their throat when that was obviously not working. And it's not that that game plan doesn't make sense at the core of it. The issue is that he didn't adjust, right? It was like, it was a decent game plan, right? It's a little contradictory to what you'd think, but I think that was the idea. He just didn't adjust. It was like, okay, dude, it's not working. Tavion has 19 carries for 50 yards. It's not working. And by the time he decided to go, not all pass, but 80% pass, it was too late. I don't understand why it took him so long to adjust. That to me is the most concerning thing. There's also rumors, Kyle Whittingham might be out of here this year. Obviously, there's rumors like that every year, but it does feel like they become more frequent recently. I really hope that doesn't happen, but you got to imagine we'd be definitely better off with Scally than we would with Ludwig based on that. I hope that Ludwig does take a lesson from this game. Tyler says, I disagree. Ludwig had some questionable calls. I don't understand why he ran the ball multiple times on 3rd and 7. Yeah, and for me, honestly, that's more of a little trickery. I'm not even hating on that. I really, I've said it a million times already, but it's that we never adjusted. It doesn't make sense to me. It was pretty clear that it was not working, and we decided to just not accept that for some reason, right? It was like, okay, well, let's just keep pounding the ball down their throat. CKS says, yeah, but Holiday gets choice, and usually Utes get sent to Vegas. Suspect Holiday takes Washington over Utah. Yeah, but honestly, guys, I think Utah is a bit of a hot commodity, right? I think a lot of people talk about Washington like they're this amazing team, and that Utah doesn't get any respect. I feel like we've got a bit of a national presence nowadays, right? All right, and I do want to switch. And Asazi says, which bowl is better, the Holiday or the Alamo? That's kind of tough because the Alamo means you lost the conference championship, right? But the Holiday means you didn't get to the conference championship. So I'd say they're both about even, in my opinion. Probably the Alamo slightly better. But either way, I wouldn't pick one clearly over the other. It's kind of a cop-out answer, but that's where I'm at. Zenith says, I think Cam had a few bad throws, but is it Cam's fault? No, our receivers were also making big mistakes. You know, I am probably the biggest defender of Cam out there. You guys have followed this channel for a while, a lot of you guys. I thought the receivers didn't do amazing, but it's on Cam, guys. Like, it's, even though two of the interceptions were not obviously Cam's fault, right? They were tips. It's not the interceptions. It's all the opportunities he had to close out the game, and he just didn't. There was also times where it felt like he could have run the ball. I don't know what's going on with his knee, but he didn't, right? So is what it is. I don't want to talk too much about last night's game today. I know it sucks, and we wish we would have won. Is what it is. Tat says it was embarrassing. Yeah, it did suck, Tat. I'll give you that. It was not a good time. Tyler says we didn't take a single deep shot. It was all simple 5 to 15 yard passes. I do think they were backing up their safeties. I don't understand why our mid game didn't work better, but it did look like they were backing up their safeties. I think what they were doing is forcing Cam to throw to the perimeter, right? To throw beyond the hashes. And Cam loves the middle of the field, and them taking that away made him struggle. Like, Cam loves the middle of the field. I'm sure a lot of that is because he has such good tight ends, and it naturally became a dependency for him to look towards the middle of the field. But I think they did a really good job game planning. So is what it is there. Tyler says Alamo is better, but that's for the Pac-12 championship loser usually. Yeah, it's kind of like you get to the championship and you lose. You get to the Alamo, and if you don't get to the championship, but you win, and which would mean you didn't lose to get to the bowl. Kind of tough to explain, but hopefully everything works out well. I think the Holiday is kind of our floor, and then our ceiling is still the Rose Bowl, believe it or not. And I would say, if anything, guys, I wouldn't be shocked to see it happen. Just kind of the way this story's gone these past couple years. I feel like this could absolutely be a real low point, right? But that's kind of how stories work, isn't it? It's like you hit the low point before you hit the really high point again. So I could see that happening. Grow My Presence says, yeah, I agree. We called it a little too heavy run, but I think we were trying to shorten the game. Yeah, I don't know why, though. That's what I'm saying, Grow My Presence. I don't know why. It wasn't like we were really struggling against this offense. Their offense did well early, but after a little while, it felt like we found a way to stop the explosive plays. And Hubert started doing a great job of getting down there and stopping these screens. You know, Oregon had a really simple offense. It was really simple. And getting a deeper look at it makes me realize why they ran the ball so well. So what they do is they run the ball and they throw screens to the wide receivers. It's really simple, but it's really effective. So if we run the ball right up the gut with talented running backs, the screens are going to be open. If you want to sell out to stop the run, then we're going to throw the screens. And we have talented receivers, and they're going to be able to make rack yards after they catch the ball. So I thought Oregon, had a great game plan, and that's just kind of who they've been all season. Really simple, but super effective with a lot of talent on that team. It's basically like they were able to finally take advantage of all the 4 or 5-star talent they have, and it worked out well over time. Let's talk a little about the future, guys. Before we move into our next topic, please make sure you guys like the video, comment below, and subscribe to the channel. I love interacting with you guys, and I'm excited to talk about this next thing. So when I say the future, I'm talking about some of the guys that are leaving, while also talking about some of the guys that are still going to be here, right? Some of the young guys that we have that could be playmakers over time. So let's go ahead. I'm going to pull something up. If anyone wants to help me out in the chat, what would be great is if we get that list of all the senior players that are leaving. I'm going to try to find it off the Utah football page. And this isn't a definitive list, but we'll go based on the numbers on who walked, right? So who walked 2 weeks ago and decided, basically declared that they're not going to be here anymore after this year. So let's see if we can find that. All right. So who walked? All right. I think I'm getting close, guys. Almost there. All right. Oh, here it is. Let's put this up on the screen. All right. So who walked last year? Or not last year, last week or whatever. Okay, so Jalen Dixon is probably gone. Now, I would say Jalen Dixon has really come into his own. You guys see this little meme in the bottom right? That's funny. Jalen Dixon has come into his own and is looking pretty damn good recently, but I don't think we've done the greatest job of utilizing him. It feels like he has more to offer than we're letting him do. So, it's sad to see him go, but I don't feel like that's a huge deal. And I feel like we have a lot of young, talented receivers that could kind of take up that role. So the next guy leaving is Cam Rising. You can see it right up there. So Cam Rising at the top right, he's out of here, right? That's stressful. And you guys could take last game and say, oh, he's not that good. Don't forget about all the damn games, or we're not in it if Rising's not there. USC, no way. No. There's probably a handful of quarterbacks in the country that would have kept us in that game. He killed it that game, right? So losing him is a big drop-off. But let's take a step back and say what happens next, right? So we've got Nate Johnson, who in his brief playing time has actually looked fantastic for the Utes, right? I think he's looked really good for the Utes. And then we've also got Bryson Barnes, who, I think you want to go with Nate Johnson, right? But I think going with Bryson Barnes is a safe outlet, right? Imagine you go with Nate Johnson, it's not working out. You have Bryson Barnes, and you can sit Nate Johnson for a little while longer, right? I would love if we could get up early on Colorado and give both of those guys some playing time. That'd be awesome. So the future at quarterback looks bright. We also have Mac Howard coming in from Mississippi, I think. Big time. Like, he's a 3-star prospect, I think, but he was a 4-star at one point. Has a really big arm, really athletic, so it looked good. Tavion Thomas. And I also want to, just as I'm going over these, I don't know if these guys are actually going to declare. Like, I think that was the plan for Cam. I think that one game probably knocked him down a round or two in the draft. And how it works for quarterbacks in the NFL draft. I've been watching the draft for a long time. I'm kind of a draft nerd, and I can tell you guys this comes from a lot of experience with the draft. It's not going to – you don't have any guarantee that you even get drafted if you're not clearly one of the top 3 or 4 quarterbacks. Just so you guys know, it's like – it's all about taste after that, right? Like, don't forget, look at all the guys that were projected to be first-round quarterbacks last year that didn't go till way later, like Corral from Ole Miss. What's his name from Liberty that plays for the Titans now? I forget his name, but just a bunch of playmakers that did not go till way later. And, Kenny Pickett didn't go till later in the first round. So I'm just letting you guys know it's a lot about taste. If I was Cam Rising, I would say more likely Cam goes round 5 or later to undrafted right now than he does in the first 3 rounds. And I feel very strongly about that. Tyler 2K says, well, last year's draft class was bad. Yeah, that's fair. Last year's draft class was not great, but I would say every draft class has a top end and then a bunch of, you have no idea where they're going to go. And I think Cam would definitely be in that. You have no idea where he's going to go. And we're Utes fans, so we think very highly of Cam. I would imagine the general consensus on Cam is slightly lower than how we feel, just being realistic about it. All right, so Tavion Thomas, I don't know if he's declaring, dude. I can't imagine Tavion getting drafted. Just straight up. If he would have declared last year, I feel very good that he would have been in the first 5 rounds for sure. But now it's just like, damn, I don't know what's going to happen to that dude. So I wouldn't be shocked to see him come back, but I would even go as far as to say, if he does come back, is he the guy? Because I don't have a ton of faith in him right now. It's just being honest. So Gabe Reed's gone. He's been a great edge setter for us this year, but we have a bunch of young edge talent. Chase Kennedy's a guy I've been really high on. He'll probably start to see some more playing time. He's a guy that's definitely bulked up and looks good. All right, and then we got Mekhi Bernard. I don't agree with him leaving. I would love for him to come back, but I think whether he leaves or comes back, I don't think he's an NFL guy, just being honest. I don't see it happening. He's like a reliable guy, and I wouldn't be surprised to see him make a practice squad, but I don't see him making an NFL roster. And Asazi says, I think Cam comes back, Dalton comes back, Brant comes back, Solomon. I could see Brant coming back. Kincaid is not coming back. Unless he just loves Utah football and really wants to go win a conference championship and all that stuff, I don't see Kincaid coming back. He's had a hell of a year. Just impressed the crap out of me. Let's pull up Kincaid's stats, because that was another 99 100-yard game last night. What is he at on the season, dude? Okay, so for 2022, he's got 61 receptions for 748 yards, 7 touchdowns, averaging 12 yards a catch. Yeah, I don't see him going anywhere. I mean, I don't see him staying. Like, he's looking to track a little over 800 receiving yards, which is awesome for a tight end. And when you factor in the idea that he was splitting time with an extremely talented tight end and Brant Keithy, that makes you feel like these stats would be even wilder if that had not been the case, right? So, is what it is there. I just I don't see Kincaid coming back. Clark is leaving. Yeah, Clark's definitely leaving. We'll get to him when we talk about him. So Logan Kendall looks like he's probably walking. When I interviewed him, I think he told me he had 2 years of eligibility. I don't see why he'd leave unless he has an agent telling him, like, hey, like, you are a good run blocking tight end. You're going to get – someone's going to pick you up, whether that's undrafted or during the draft. I don't agree with that. Like, not that he's obviously a beast, but I don't think he's really made a statement enough to do that. That's what Cole Fotheringham, really similar skill set to Logan Kendall, but I think Cole Fotheringham made a bit more of an impact than Kendall did to be going in the draft. Stone as Archon, not really familiar with him. Braden Daniels, the debate could be there that he should come back, but if I were him, it depends on where he's projected. I had him as a borderline first-round pick at the beginning of the year. I thought he was going to straight massacre it, but he didn't quite live up to the hype I had for him. I could definitely still see him being in the first 3 rounds or so, but I would imagine that's more on what people are telling him. He would know better than I would. Thomas Yasmin is gone. I mean, he's very unlikely to get drafted. I don't know if it's an eligibility thing or not, though. Devin Kafusi's gone. Not exactly a playmaker recently. RJ Hubert. Ooh, that sucks, dude. The RJ Hubert's gone. I don't love that. I don't know if that's an eligibility thing, though. All right, Mahmoud Diabate. Definitely a decent year for the guy. I know there was a lot of hype on him early in the year, but we'll see how that goes. Solomon Enis. So Solomon Enis, I don't think he has any eligibility left. That's why he's gone. Dalton Kincaid, killer season. It's the right move. Brant Kuithe. I think Brant Kuithe should come back. I think that'd be good for him. It'd be good for Utah. But again, it all depends on where he's being told he's going to go. I think Brant Kuithe is such a wild card. Because of the injury, I could see him being like a 5th to 7th round pick. And I could also see him being a 2nd or 3rd round pick. Depends on how his medicals are, that sort of thing. Devon Vele, definitely a bad move for him to declare. It's not the right move. I can't imagine him getting drafted within the first 5 rounds. He's a good player. He needs to prove it a little more before someone's willing to take that risk on him. Clark Phillips, absolutely, for damn sure, he should go to the NFL. Right? He should go to the NFL. It's the right move. He's probably the best player on this team that's healthy right now. Maybe outside of Kincaid, but really good player. Really good job. But outside of that, guys, we got a lot to look forward to. Make sure you guys like the video, subscribe to the channel. I'm going to get out of here. I didn't want to spend too long doing this, but I got to get back to the Jets game. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Make sure you guys stick around. One thing I want to encourage you guys to do is, remember we were giving away the Cam Rising card. So I've decided to delay giving it away. And what I want to do is give this out to the biggest fan for the next few weeks. I don't know what that means exactly. I think someone will establish themselves as clearly the biggest fan of the channel. And how I want to do who's going to win it, because it doesn't feel right giving it away right now, because it's, it's like, we just lost to Oregon, kind of a rough day. This is what we're going to do. With the Cam Rising card, it's going to be about sharing the videos, guys. So whether that's posting the videos to your favorite Facebook page or whatever, share the videos, guys. So post them to Facebook pages, retweet them on Twitter, whatever you want to do. Whoever does the best job sharing these videos and introducing more people to the Utah Utes Football Digest community is going to be the one that wins the card. That's what I'm going to do. Outside of that, guys, I am out of here. I hope you guys have a great weekend. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, and I am out.